Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to sift through a pile of info and give you the clear insights you need. Today, we're taking a plunge into copyrights and trademarks. It can be pretty confusing stuff. You're always seeing things online, using stuff for school, for social media, maybe your own projects. So how do you know what's okay to use? What's actually yours? And importantly, what could get you into trouble? Let's maybe start with this thought. Just because something's everywhere online, like a meme or a hit song, does that mean it's basically free game for you to use however you want?
That's the big question, isn't it? And it's a super common misunderstanding, the short answer. Usually no. What we want to do today is sort of clear up these mix-ups. We'll help you feel more confident navigating all this digital stuff. And it's not just about, like, staying out of trouble. It's also really key for protecting your own creative work, too.
Okay, good. Let's unpack that, starting with the basics. Copyright. We hear that word all the time. But what is copyright really? How does it actually work for the stuff you see and make online?
Right. So copyright, at its heart, it's a form of legal protection. It covers original creative things, music, videos, articles, photos, drawings, even code. And here's the interesting part, something a lot of people don't realize. This protection, it's automatic. The moment you create something original, like write a poem and take a photo, boom, copyright protection kicks in. It's considered your intellectual property right away.
Automatic. Okay, so you don't have to fill out a form instantly.
Exactly. You don't need to register it with, say, the U.S. Copyright Office for that basic protection to exist. But, and this is important, registering it does give you much stronger legal teeth. If someone misuses your registered work, you can sue for infringement, potentially get significant damages, lawyer fees covered. It makes a big difference in court.
Okay, that distinction matters. So let's take a real-world example. Let's say you're making a TikTok, just a fun video, and you want to use, I don't know, that new Drake track everyone's listening to, just for laughs, personal use. That's got to be fine, surely.
That's probably the #1 scenario where people get caught out. Unfortunately, no. Even if it's just for fun or you're not making money from it, using a copyrighted song like Drake's without getting permission, that's still infringement. Think about the reach of TikTok. You're basically broadcasting that music to potentially millions. Now, TikTok itself has licenses with labels. That's how they can offer the music library within the app.
Yeah.
But if you're just grabbing the audio from somewhere else and adding it, you still need to make sure your use is covered, either by TikTok's terms or by direct permission. It's tricky.
Right, okay. That definitely clears up a lot about protecting creative works. Let's switch gears a bit. What about brands? How do they protect their identity? What's a trademark? Is that different from copyright?
Totally different, yeah. Think of it like this. Copyright protects the actual creative work, the song itself, the painting, the novel. Trademark protects the brand identity connected to goods or services. So brand names, logos like the Nike swoosh slogans, sometimes even sounds or colors. Its main job is to stop customers from getting confused about who made what. You see the swoosh, you know it's Nike, right? That's trademark in action.
Okay, the Nike swoosh. Perfect example. This gets really interesting then. What if you use that swoosh, say, on a poster for a school project? It's just for school, you're not selling anything. That's okay, isn't it?
That's another really common gray area people ask about. Look, using it for a school project is, well, probably less likely to trigger a lawsuit than slapping it on T-shirts to sell. Context matters. But technically, the protection still applies. That swoosh is a super famous registered trademark. Its whole value is its recognition. Using it, even non-commercially for school, could imply Nike endorses your project, which they don't. If that poster ended up online or displayed very publicly, the risk definitely goes up. The key question courts often look at is, could this use cause confusion about who's behind it, or if there's an official link? Even for school stuff, sometimes the answer could be yes.
That's a practical way to think about it, the confusion aspect. Okay, let's tackle maybe the biggest point of confusion I hear about, fair use. People think, oh, if I just give credit, like tag the artist or name the source, then it's okay to use their stuff. Is that how fair use works?
Oh, the fair use myth? No, absolutely not. That's probably the most critical takeaway here. Fair use is not free use. And just giving credit, while it's, good manners, it almost never makes using copyrighted material without permission legal. Fair use is actually a pretty complex legal defense. It allows very limited use of copyrighted stuff without asking, but only for specific things. Think criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, research, things like that. And whether something is fair use depends on weighing 4 factors. It's very specific to the situation.
4 factors, like what?
Well, one big one is the purpose and character of your use. Is it commercial, or is it for nonprofit education? And crucially, is your use transformative? Did you add something new, a new meaning, a new message? Or did you just copy it? A parody, for instance, might transform the original by making fun of it. That has a better shot at being fair use. But just reposting an image with cool pic, almost never transformative. Doesn't matter if you gave credit.
Transformative use. Okay, that makes sense. It needs to add something significant. Are there other things people mix up with just being able to use stuff freely?
Definitely. A few other key ideas often get muddled. First, there's the public domain. This is stuff where copyright has actually expired, like really old books. Think Shakespeare, or where it never existed, or the creator explicitly gave it up. That stuff is genuinely free to use. Then you have Creative Commons licenses. These are great. It's not no copyright, but the creator uses a special license to give permission upfront for certain uses. Like they might say, you can use my photo for non-commercial stuff, just credit me. That makes sharing way easier, but you still follow their rules. And finally, derivative works. This is when you make something based on an existing work, like a movie from a book or a remix of a song. You almost always need permission from the original copyright owner to make a derivative work, unless maybe your version qualifies as fair use, which again is a high bar, especially if it's not transformative.
That's super helpful. Public domain, Creative Commons, derivative works, good distinctions. And we see those little symbols everywhere online, right? The egg, the A, the egg. What do those actually tell us?
Yeah, those little symbols are like quick visual clues. The A is for copyright. Pretty straightforward. It signals that someone is claiming copyright protection on that work. The A means trademark.
Yeah.
This shows a business or person is claiming rights to that name or logo as a trademark, but it might not be officially registered yet. Maybe they've applied, maybe not. And the R in a circle is the big one for trademarks. It means the mark is officially registered with the government, like the USPTO here in the U.S. That gives the strongest legal protection for a brand.
Got it. Arty for the work and for the brand identity with being the official registration. So understanding all this is clearly important, but what actually happens if you mess up? Like, what's the real risk, especially for someone just posting stuff online, maybe a student?
The consequences can really vary. On the less severe end, your post might just get taken down. You might get a DMCA takedown notice for copyright, for example. Platforms like YouTube and Instagram have systems for this. Or maybe your account gets a strike, or could even be suspended after repeated issues. But it can get more serious. You could get a cease and desist letter from a lawyer. In some cases, especially if it's commercial use or really blatant copying, you could actually face a lawsuit asking for money, sometimes significant amounts. It's important for everyone, students included, to know that these aren't just abstract rules. Companies and creators do defend their rights.
Okay, let's make that concrete again. Say you love a digital artist work you found on Instagram, you repost it to your feed, you tag the artist, you write, "This is amazing, check them out." You're trying to be nice, give exposure. Is that okay?
It's a nice thought, but legally. No, that's still typically copyright infringement. Tagging and praising them is good etiquette, definitely. And the artist might appreciate the shout-out. But appreciation doesn't equal permission. They still hold the copyright, which includes the exclusive right to decide where and how their art is displayed or copied. Unless they've explicitly given permission, maybe through a Creative Commons license or in their bio, just reposting is technically a violation. Which brings up the important practical question for you, right? If you can't just repost, what can you do if you want to share or use someone's work? Asking is often the first step.
Right, asking for permission. Seems obvious, but often overlooked. So this all sounds a bit like a minefield. How does understanding all these rules, copyright, trademark, fair use, actually help us as creators? Does it just feel restrictive?
Not at all. I actually think it's really empowering, seriously. Once you get the hang of these rules, you know how to find and use other people's content legally and ethically. That reduces your risk, obviously. But maybe even more importantly, it teaches you how your own creative work is protected. Understanding copyright means you know your rights when you create something original. You understand it's your intellectual property. This knowledge helps you share your work confidently, maybe license it, maybe even build a business around it someday. It helps you value your own creativity and ensures others respect it too. It really builds good habits for whatever you do creatively in the future.
Yeah, I like that perspective. It's not about stopping creativity. It's about, like, channeling it smartly. Knowing the rules helps you play the game safely and protects your own stuff, too. It helps you make your voice heard without stepping on someone else's toes, legally speaking.
Exactly. And here's a bigger thought to wrap up with. Think about everything you see online. Every song, every video, every logo, every photo, every single one represents someone's intellectual property. Someone created it.
It has value. If you start recognizing that inherent value in everything you consume, how might that change the way you interact with content, how you share it, how you maybe even evaluate its message?
That's a really powerful point to consider, thinking about the creator behind the content. Okay, if you want to dig into this even more after our chat, we've got some great resources for you. For the nitty-gritty on copyright, check out the U.S. Copyright Office. Their copyright basics page is excellent. That's at bit.ly45u7ulkn. For trademarks and brand stuff, the USPTO, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, has trademark basics at bit.ly45077e. And if you're ever curious if a brand name or logo is registered, you can actually search the USPTO trademark database yourself. That's at bit.ui450b2a. Finally, there's a really good YouTube video that breaks down creativity, copyright, and fair use visually. You can find that at bit.ly3htlrtd. That wraps up this deep dive. Thanks so much for joining us. Keep learning, keep creating, and do it responsibly.